Place 33, Secrets of Universal Truths Revealed by Sherilyn Bridget Avalon. Chapter 10, Guardians of Eagles. Later that evening, Kenton and Sherilyn went out for dinner. He was stunning and reminded her of one of the men on the covers of a romance novel. Kenton flashed a friendly smile and headed in her direction back from the men's room. She knew maintaining eye contact would be a struggle because she longed to bask in Kenton's arms and be mesmerized by him for a few more minutes. The sexual energy between them began whispering to her. It was powerful, and he was obviously trying to overtake her. Her earthly, physical impulses would love for Kenton to take her right then and there in his arms. Mentally, it was a battle, but one she was determined to win. What made this situation dangerous was she recognized Kenton felt the same sexual tension. She knew she could not allow these sexual thoughts to linger in her mind for another second, so she immediately changed her focus. She stopped, and she had to play hard to get if she wanted him to be hers. Kenton and Sherilyn pulled up to the hotel and parked. She opened her door and started to climb out of the truck when Kenton appeared taking her hand, and he helped her step down. Sure was to boot, she thought. Instead of Kenton, her thoughts returned to Sterling. She told Kenton, "I have one child, a daughter." She didn't want to scare him away so early. She says, "Sterling, your janitor, wants to date me too." "My janitor?" "No. Sterling's the elevator mechanic. It's been broke for a week. I haven't seen him at all. I've been trying to reach him. We keep missing each other, playing phone tag," Kent relays. "If you see him, have him call me, please." "Sure," Sherilyn responds. Thinking it was strange, he gave no response to her mentioning Sterling wanting to date her. Thank you for dinner. I must be going now. It's about time to relieve the babysitter." Wait, not so fast. How about a magic show on the strip?" Kenton asks. "You can bring your daughter," she says, making a sign of the phone with her hand to her ear, and walks away toward her hotel room. Sherilyn's cell phone is ringing as she walks in the room. It's Sterling calling. "I must see you," he says. "Can you meet me at the wind tunnel?" Okay, she responded. He sounded like it was urgent. "How about you come over here?" She replies, "I'm putting the kids to bed soon, so you could come around 9 o'clock. She enjoys the elevator with Sterling, too. She keeps discovering amazing bits and pieces about herself. Sterling comes over, and they jump in his car, making their way to the elevator of enlightenment. Sherilyn asks, "What's the big urgency?" Sterling replies, "I feel St. Stephen. Since we have been doing these hypnosis sessions, my connection with St. Stephen, my higher self, is stronger. He's waiting for me on the other side of the elevator. Patiently. He says, 'A girl cries out.'" Sterling acknowledges. "She's an old soul, and she's between the levels, and we need to find her. She's from the pool of knowledge." "Really? You can hear people's thoughts in the pool of knowledge? How do you become an old soul?" Sherilyn asked. "Some of us are older than others. Even though we were all created at the same time, some of us didn't form till later on," St. Stephen explains. "Oh, yeah? You said I was an old soul one time. Why didn't I get out of this misplacement if I'm so old?" Sherilyn asked him. Yes, but you were cast into a dimension on Earth that is more innocent than it should have been. Your knowledge was restricted, and you made too many mistakes, he replied. That explains it, Sherilyn says sarcastically. Then she envisions Frank, the one in charge of castings, deciding to flip the casting switch right before she was about to be cast into another dimension, and he double whammies her so she gets double amnesia. Frank is disappointed because you're figuring him out, Sterling states. Oh, really? Well, isn't that the name of the game? What are some of the other laws of the universe? She asks, as they are looking through a window at all the levels. What do you mean by form until later? St. Stephen continues. The spirits of people who previously died stuck together, and somehow the people on earth alive at the time realized it and managed to locate the knowledge. Oh, and I've always wondered about the pyramids in Egypt and why they were built. Can you see other information? Sherilyn queries. Were, the, were they built through hard work or levitation? How did they do it? St. Stephen explains. They were highly inspired people who knew more than ordinary people know, and they built the pyramids to draw energy. They drew energy proficiently and resourcefully. They also drew upon the pool of knowledge, and it was a phenomenon on earth, an infinite thing. They couldn't have done it without the inspiration of all those collective spirits of the people who were stuck together, St. Stephen says, by burying the Egyptian kings in pyramids. It magnified their energy, therefore short-circuiting their stay. I see, like when we die, do we immediately leave our bodies? Sherilyn questions. St. Stephen states, you have an attachment to your body for a while afterward, but most people don't want to think so. But it's true. If a body is cremated, there's no body remaining, then there is no body for a spirit to remain attached to. But there's honestly no best way to do it. Sterling and Sherilyn continue looking at each other in the elevator, and Sterling is acting a little strange. Sherilyn asks, Sterling, how are you? What do you see out the elevator window? Light, he replies. But it's not really light. It's gold, like a starburst medallion. I'm just looking at it through the window. Let me look. I see it now. It's a medallion on a pedestal. It's sitting where the lily pads usually are, Sterling comments. Are there lily pads there? Sherilyn asks. Let me see, Sterling says, as he moves toward the window of the elevator. Oh, yeah, but the medallion is taking up almost all of the space. It's taking up most of the horizon. It's huge. But what's it for? Sherilyn asks. I'm not quite sure, Sterling ponders. It's more like, who is it for? He pauses for a moment. It's for my knowledge. I don't know why it's so big, he says. Then who gave it to you? Sherilyn asked. It's a gift from Angie, Sterling says, smiling. Yes, it's a gift for my knowledge. It has many petals like clovers. Clover petals. It looks like a clover? Is it a four-leaf clover? Sherilyn inquires. He starts counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9-leaf clover. It's very bright and beautiful, and behind it is pure white light. It's quite large. Does it say anything on it? Any important information? What does it say? Sherilyn questions. Sterling responds, well, it's full of information. It's not on the face, but it's obviously a significant object. It looks like it's the place where the gold tape is stored, but it appears that It's more than one gold tape. It appears that there are many. And this is where they're stored, Sherilyn asked. He looks closely at the clover. I can't see that. It just seems for that to be the case, Sterling answers. Is it a storage place for the tapes? Sherilyn questions. That's what it seems. I don't know why it's here. I'm looking at it now. I think I'll get out and really stand next to the clover. Would you like to come with me? Sterling asks. Yes, Sherilyn replies curiously. I'm with you. I like to watch you look at the giant medallion. You look like an ant. They laugh. So do I, he says. Well, I guess I look more like a grasshopper, Sterling replies. Just size-wise, compared to the medallion, it's really large. It's unbelievably, absolutely beautiful. But the white light shining through its clover is very meaningful. I can see that. And of course, Angie's small now. She's not usually that small. It's just because there's so much space taken up with the medallion that she's smaller. And to the bottom right, Frank is crouching, as usual. I think I'll start to climb up the medallion. It looks inviting. Sterling comments. Is it like a coin serrated on the side? Sherilyn asked. No, it's just like a medallion with the shape of the clover leaves, 9 of them, and it's so interesting. Okay, the 9th leaf has the number 18 inscribed on it. I see that. What does that mean? Sherilyn questions. I think it means that it's an entrance to level 18. It has something to do with level 18, and it's very old, Sterling replies quizzically. Is it Celtic? She asks. Let me look. Come up here with me, Sterling requests. He reaches his arm down toward Sherilyn to pull her onto this pedestal. Wow, it's so large, Sherilyn comments. The 9th leaf has an inscription on it. Number 18. There's pollen coming out when you open the door. Yeah, it looks like gold dust. It's a funny feeling. It's fuzzy, and it sticks to you, and it feels like it's telling me something, Sterling replies. What? Sherilyn exclaims. Okay. Frank said, this is the pollen of my personal ego, in that I should go and saturate myself with it, that I should collect it up and put it in the urn and then drink it. And even though it's kind of a sticky dust, by doing so, I will be able to reveal my ego to myself as I am detached from it and view it for what it is. So there's more. It says that if I do this, that I would also be able to view your ego as well. As we hold hands, you can drink along with me, Sterling explained. Okay, this is so strange, Sherilyn says. First, we take the urns and leave the medallion, Sherilyn questions. That didn't sound right. Frank says to take off the leaf and use it as a pedestal and go up to level 18. Get out and sit down on it, Sterling relays. Okay, let's do that, Sherilyn says with enthusiasm. It's so light, I can't believe it. Carrying the leaf is like being an ant. They can carry more than their weight. An ant can carry this huge thing around, and it's so light, like carrying nothing at all. It really is something. God. Okay, let's get back into the elevator, Sterling commands crisply. Frank seems to be liking this, but he's not smiling, and Angie says it's okay. So let's just do it. We're back into the elevator. I have a hold of it. You can grab it too. Grab a hold of it with me. That's good. Hold it down. Have it merge with yourself. It's almost like touching nothing. We're in the elevator. Now, let's go up. Push the button to 18. Oh my gosh. It just turned the entire interior brilliant gold. We're kicking around gold dust. Jesus, it's just like kicking the truth around. Man, it must be at least 3 feet deep. This stuff is really cool. God, it's sticky, but it doesn't quite stick to you. It's like a powdery snow. Are you kicking it with me? It's so light. It's lighter than ash. Sterling comments. Okay, let's just open the door, Sterling commands. We're at level 18. The doors are opening. Oh, I see Frank. He's beckoning us with 2 hands. He's beckoning us both with both of his hands are outstretched. His index and middle fingers are up. The palms are up, and he's motioning us to come near. He says, make sure that you gather up all the dust. Okay, did we get it all? Sherilyn comments. Angie is watching. Wow, Sterling exclaims. It's a gold trail with a white light background. Frank looks flesh-like in his brown skin suit and his blue eyes, and he's motioning us with his 2 fingers. Okay, just take my hand. We'll follow Frank, but now it's configured. It's right back, just like the way it was, and it's taking up 2/3 of the sky again. It's so immense. But we just had it in the elevator, Sherilyn giggles. That's amazing. Frank says, be still, and I'll reveal some things to you through the gold. Sterling starts moaning as Frank is showing him things. Ooh. Oh. Ah. Sherilyn is asking Angie, is it okay to speak with Frank here? Angie says, it's okay to speak with Frank anywhere. Sherilyn says, okay. Okay, Frank, we're in a new element here. What's up? Sterling asks. Frank says, it's not really gold, you know. It just looks like it is. Sherilyn asks, well, what is it? It's what Sterling's ego looks like when you're able to view it, when you're outside of yourself. Frank replies. Sterling quizzes. It's funny that it looks like gold. Does everyone's ego look like gold like this, Frank? Frank says, no, everyone's does not, in a matter-of-fact kind of way. Sterling says, is everyone's ego as light as this, Frank? Frank replies, no, they vary widely in terms of the density. Why are you allowing me to look at it, Frank? Sterling asks. Because it will help you to understand why you have it. And it will help you to understand why yours is lighter, and why yours is larger, and why yours is golden, Frank replies. Angie wants to know if you would like to know what your ego looks like, Sherilyn. Sterling questions. Well, yes, I would, Sherilyn replies sheepishly. Angie wants to know if you can see her, Sterling queries. No, I can't right now. It's dark, Sherilyn replies sadly. I'm not able to see her because I have not meditated enough to get the connection to the other side that you need, Sherilyn responds. Angie's disappointed, Sterling says. She says that she will show it to you anyway, and that you can use Sterling as a conduit for your eyes. Okay, that would be awesome. Sherilyn excitedly agrees. Angie says you need to trust in Sterling's ability to convey so you can see. I do, Sherilyn says with a heartfelt appreciation. I see it forming, Sterling laughs. They both laugh. Sterling starts to convey, "It looks quite different than mine. It's nice looking. I like it a lot. It's an ivory in color. It's a lot denser and it's a lot thicker. It looks like, can you see it? It's growing right out of the top of your head and configuring. It's like a large cloverleaf-shaped balloon. It is almost like an aura, but it's an appendage from your head. It's very dense compared to what I'm looking at, and there's no pattern to it. It's not shedding anything like mine, which is shedding all over the place." "Are you shedding your ego, honey?" Sherilyn kids with him. "I have a lot of powder coming off of mine. Yours is ivory and it's heavy. It's also looks burdensome. It's weighted. Let me touch it once," he says. "What does it feel like?" Sherilyn asks, with the excitement of discovering her ego for the first time. Not that it's a good thing, or is it? Sterling proceeds to touch it. "It looks neat," he says, as he proceeds to examine it as if holding a magnifying glass. Sherilyn asks the question, "Does it look like a clover?" Wanting it to be like Sterling's. "Yeah," Sterling says with hesitation. "How many leaves?" she asks. "Just the one," he says quietly. "Oh, yeah?" Sherilyn says, disappointed. Sterling communicates, "You only have one, but actually it's better. You don't want a big ego. The ego's job is to give us anxiety about the past and fear about the future. Let's touch it once." Sterling chuckles. "Oh my God. It looks hard, but it feels gooey. It's so strange. I can't believe that we could actually look at the structure of an ego. It's amazing." "Is it?" Sherilyn interjects, being coy. "Christ, no wonder they're such a burden. Man, yours is really heavy. Damn. Angie wants you to see it. That is such a strange sight," Sterling comments. "Really? How big is it?" Hoping it's not as big as his. "Oh, it's huge," Sterling blurts out. "Bigger than yours?" Sherilyn asks with a hint of disappointment. "No," Sterling says reluctantly. "I didn't think so. Is it half the size of yours?" Sherilyn was trying to figure out the comparison. "No, it is just denser. It's maybe a third less in size, maybe. That's it. Can't you see it? But of course, it looks hard, but it's not shedding anything. That's really quite revealing somehow." "Oh my God." Sterling is shocked. There's something coming in the sky. It has taken on a blue hue there in between our two clovers, where they don't quite meet. It's taken on a blue hue, but the rest of the sky is white. "What does that mean?" Sherilyn asks, confused and not being able to see the egos because she wasn't quite ready. "I could tell you it's someone else's ego, not ours," Sterling surmises. "Uh-oh. Who?" Sherilyn asks, shocked. "Angie says this is the place where egos are revealed." "It's someone else's ego," Sterling relays, intrigued. Are we still on level 18? Sherilyn reiterates. Sterling replies, "No, actually, it's 9. But we have to view the ego through the combination of the 1 and the 8, Angie relays. "Because otherwise, we wouldn't really be able to see what we're seeing, because it would be transparent. The only way to make it not transparent would be to divide it. In other words, divide 9 into 1 and 8. Because that way we will be able to see the two halves and they will be present. And if it was just singular, we wouldn't be able to see it," Sterling interprets. Angie relays, "Someone who has died is about to speak with us."
"What? Who?"
Sherilyn asks. "This person is going to have a large effect upon Sterling's thinking," Angie telepathically relays. This is also very revealing to Sherilyn. It will be very important to incorporate this person's conveyance under hypnosis to what we are in the process of attempting to do in terms of the information you can put into the book. Okay, Sherilyn replies. This man likes the conveyance of information, and this man also likes Sterling, Angie relays. Who is this man? Sherilyn asks intriguingly. He says that his name is Joseph, replies Angie. Joseph Campbell? Sherilyn questions. She intuitively feels it to be him. Oh my God, he's dead. Sterling is breathing hard. It's okay, honey. It's okay. Sherilyn tries to calm him down. The presence is peering in, and he wants to speak. He says he has unfinished business. Sterling speaks, unsure. It's okay to let him pass through you, Sherilyn reassures him. Does he feel like a good spirit? Then let him pass through you. People do it all the time. It's called channeling. He says that I'm molecularly light, Sterling conveys. Even though I have a large ego, it's quite movable. He feels I'm a useful subject in his form, and he would be interested in conveying information because he was only capable of making the transition 2/3 of the way to the light, and is going to be relatively easy for him to make a complete transition only after he is able to divest himself from his incomplete lesson. He gave into pain. Oh, yeah? Who is he? Sherilyn pleaded. Sterling answers, his name is Joseph, as he is a part of the fabric that makes up the composite of what Josephs are. Okay, well, let him speak, says Sherilyn. Sterling says, if I will allow it, participate and help, that even though it will make me uncomfortable, I will become a wiser person on earth with my ego. And I will deal with it in a more constructive manner. If I use you, Sherilyn, in a proper manner, I will be able to succeed in conveying the last third of his lesson to others. That is what has prevented him from completing his transition. Oh, okay, wow. Sherilyn is in shock. He didn't think this would happen through hypnosis. She feels this is a lot to put on a person. Sterling expresses he is very pleased with this opportunity, that somehow he has managed to open up through our two egos. He says, you don't know me, but that I am very close to the same level of consciousness that St. Stephen is. Oh, Sherilyn replies, Sterling's higher self. Yes, Joseph says. That's why most folks find Sterling complicated, but with my help, Sterling will be a more influential conveyor. That's good, Sherilyn reiterates. Then Sterling confides he will appreciate this a great deal because he will have completed what he was meant to do. That will be a help to him. That will be good. Do you want to do it? Sherilyn quizzes Sterling. Yes, Sterling replies emphatically. Great, says Joseph. Joseph is extremely happy. Oh boy, he's got a long tape. Jesus, it's wound tight, it's wound long, it's wide, and it's trailing behind his head, says Sterling. Really, a long tape. A tape is the lifetimes recorded from your spirit, I believe, Sherilyn remarks. He's anxious, if that's the correct word, to complete what he wanted to say in the body. But his body gave out, and he's now sorry that he gave in to the pain. He says that I handled pain better than he does, Sterling boasts. Yes, you handle pain pretty well, Sherilyn affirms. He wants to tell you that the reason your ego is ivory is because it represents the carrot of purity, and you're tainted, and your lesson is to learn how to become untainted, says Sterling. Okay, I'm listening intently now, Sherilyn says. He's telling me that my ego is gold because it carries the blessing of wisdom, and that the carrot for me is that I'm close to losing it, and that is why it is so light, Sterling relays. Well, that's really good. Sherilyn looks at Sterling with admiration. He knows this individual knows a lot. Sterling is breathing hard. This man has lived a very intricate matrix of lives. Much information, much pathways, many pathways, but couldn't tolerate the pain. He gave up, and now he regrets it, and is being allowed this opportunity to say more. He says that in the months to come, if I will allow him to help, there will be much more forthcoming information that will be very clear and very helpful to everyone that hears it. Okay, Sherilyn interjects. Are we supposed to help any particular person? Angie says Sterling helps most people he deals with in that he is an old and well-intentioned soul. He is particularly useful in that he manages pain fairly well. For a sensitive individual that has the kind of sensitivity that is required to know this much and be this clear of a conveyor, she says it is a unique combination of abilities. Sterling states, Angie wants you back, and you, she says, have been faltering. You have been giving in to your ego. You have become petty of late, and she is rather disappointed. She says your problems will cease to exist with men if you learn the lesson of lightening your ego. The ivory texture of your ego and the weighted mass of it will become much less molecularly weighted once you stop being so resentful with your lesson that you're learning through men. Okay, Angie, I understand, says Sherilyn, even though she really didn't understand the lessons or why she had to go through these lessons. Marriage to a man old enough to be your father, molested at 13, date raped twice, losing children, etc. Sterling turned to Sherilyn. Joseph is listening and watching, and it seems that he has always been the part of an energy that represents curiosity. Yes, that's right, Joseph restates. That's Joseph, the personification of curiosity, St. Stephen responds. Frank says he wants the information to be perfected and he wants the process to take a long time. Angie says if Sherilyn can learn how to stop being so personal with her agitation with Sterling's ego, that will not be necessary. Joseph is simply watching this as if a theater is unfolding, as if he's ready to eat another piece of popcorn. He is enjoying himself immensely, and he feels very good to have the opportunity now. This is what he has hoped for. He is an extremely emanating entity. This person was a personified knowledge on the earth. He was practically a vortex for it because of the manner in which he developed structurally in terms of his mind. He seems to be too focused, though, through his perfectionistic flaw on detail. I can see this now. I am looking at his mind, says St. Stephen. It's funny, it's like looking through a magnifying glass. It is all becoming clearer now. I can't see his face anymore, Sterling articulates. What does he look like? Sherilyn coaxes him. He's kind of got bushy eyebrows and rather prominent lines running down his face on each side of the nose, and has a rather anxious but gentle look about him. Kind of like you. He just can't get enough done, Sterling replies. Part of that seems to be that, for all of his wisdom from being a presenter of unifying concepts in comparative mythology, all of his explaining, all of the benefits had resulted in him being stifled by his own personal defeat in not being able to handle his pain, Sterling analyzes. What was his last name? Cheryl looks intensely into Sterling's eyes. Say it. Just say it. Well, he has had many last names, but this particular personification was named after the soup, Campbell soup. Red label, and it appears that minestrone and tomato was his favorite as a child. Sterling says so straightforwardly. Oh, yeah? Sherilyn chuckles. He didn't like bean and bacon? Sterling recaps. Joseph Campbell. Yeah, I know who he is. That's what I thought. He was quite an admired man on earth. He wrote the book Man and Myth, Sherilyn recalls. Whew. He is firm in his intent and his confidence that Sterling can pick up where he left off, which is intimidating Sterling's ego. Angie's relaying to Sherilyn. She has to drop her facade, her shell, and her heaviness, that she understands what to do, yet can't do it. Angie is disappointed. Frank is not. I'm sorry, Angie. I guess I'm just too personal. I just want to be left alone for a while. Sherilyn speaks louder. Sterling says Joseph was going to do something under hypnosis, and then his ego got in the way. Frank says to Sherilyn, well, what else can you expect? Sterling tells Sherilyn, Angie says this is a test of your own tolerance and wisdom, and that you're not really making a very high grade. Sherilyn laughs and then bows her head. You have met someone that is truly exceptional, Angie relays. If you will simply allow yourself, through the wisdom that you already have, to be the vessel of your own wisdom, quite an impact of impression will occur. It will almost be like a starburst. It really does hinge upon you and how you deal with Sterling, because Sterling has a sensitivity to rejection, and he feels hurt that you are uncomfortable with being close, and he tries so hard to the maximum of his own sphere relative to his ego interests. He always expects something in return. That's what I don't like, Sherilyn added. St. Stephen interjects. All egos expect returns. This is part and parcel of dealing with the physical world that exists given the particular juncture in time that all of you are dealing with. Angie says you need to be stiller, calmer, so that you can implement more of what you know, so you can leave your ego aside and it is stifling you and your efforts. Meditation? Sherilyn asks. Frank says, reject Sterling's love, you will learn more. Is it true, Angie? Sherilyn asks. Angie says, I refuse to dignify Frank's attitude with a response. I just don't know. I'll try to be more still, Sherilyn calmly says. Sterling comments with a quivery lip. I can't believe this man, his intent. It's strong. I've never felt anyone with such unfinished business. I'm having goosebumps in my mind. The energy is strong, but he is not as large as I am, St. Stephen integrates. That made him anxious too, and that's also why he couldn't handle his pain as well. St. Stephen bellows, Sterling will help. Of course, Sterling replies. Joseph is very appreciative. Joseph comments, there will be many more tapes to come. It is the unison of the energy that Sherilyn and Sterling bring that will result in synergy, if they are capable of meeting the challenge of the separation of the ego. This is very wise energy, Sterling recites. Thank you, Joseph, Sherilyn replies. Sterling still staring at the sky. This is so strange. He's not quite dead. I've never experienced this before, and I'm uncomfortable with it. It's okay. It's just so different. Sterling's emotions going back and forth like a gyroscope. Does he look young or old? Sherilyn asks Sterling. Older, yes, definitely, Sterling replies. Don't you go back to like 30 or 35 when you die? Sherilyn heard that somewhere. No, he's not dead. He's not complete. He's stuck. He's stuck, Sterling says with deep emotions. Oh, I see. He's stuck like that one spirit we set free. Does he still have emotions attached to his body? Attached to the world? Sherilyn asks. It's sticky, you know. He has things to convey, Sterling replies. Unfinished business to complete. Okay. What level is he on? Sherilyn asks. Well, I met him right here. It's not really on a level. He's in between things. Things aren't delineated. He's grappling, looking, searching. He couldn't meet the challenge, Sterling shakes his head. Too bad, Sterling reiterates. What did he have? Cancer? That's a hard and painful lesson, Sherilyn says with empathy. He had other things too. He just grew old. He also had emphysema, blocked arteries that were degenerating, and he also had psychological fear. It gave him this obsession, St. Stephen explains to Sherilyn. As you realize by now, progress entails pain. For me, it's not as much physical as it is emotional pain. That is the way progress is structured. Until it changes, you should take advantage. I can draw from Angie. She is still, she is pure, but Frank is trying to confuse you, Sterling adds. He's trying to make you into a self-centered individual. He's playing on your ego's weaknesses, given your brainwashed past in this lifetime and others, disallowing you from being as clear and as calm and as passive as you can be. If you are passive with males, they will be passive with you. You are blind. You are blind by design because Frank wants you not to see. He wants you to feel the pain of disappointment, the pain of confusion, the pain of redundancy. Ego is nature's way of teaching you saturation. Step out of your ego, Sherilyn. Operate with passivity, enlightenment, charisma, and you will walk among the masters, Joseph imparts to Sherilyn. I will? Sherilyn answers in shock. Wow, I can learn a lot about the other side and life from Joseph. I can hardly believe it. I am going to be facilitating the channeling of Joseph Campbell's previous life. LIFE is Living in Frequency Earth.